Good evening, everybody. And you know it's Wednesday because you're seeing my face, and we are RAMP. Real Access Motivates Progress live Wednesday night podcast. We are so excited you joined us tonight because you picked a great show to tune into. Tonight, we are talking about biking across America for United Spinal with a great friend of mine, Adam Lane. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Oh, I cannot wait for everybody to meet you like I met you because you are fantastic and what you did is even better. So please tell everybody who you are and what you did.
Certainly. Thank you. My name is Adam Lane, and I rode a hand cycle across the United States of America. And yeah, I just wanted to let people know that life with a disability doesn't mean that it's the end of life and that things are possible. And wanted to get the word out. And I thought riding a hand cycle across America would be a great way to do it.
Yeah, and tell everybody why you rode a hand cycle across America. Tell everybody a little bit about your disability.
Sure. So I was a paramedic working in Kansas City, and I had a motorcycle accident and sustained a spinal cord injury at T10, T11. So I'm paralyzed from the belly button down. And pretty early on, I knew, and that was in 2007. I had this idea that God didn't do this to me, but He could use it. And so I've, since my injury, been looking for ways to give back to the community. And I also had a ton of support from my family, from friends, from my extended family that are the firefighters and law enforcement officers and other EMS professionals that I worked with. They raised money and built ramps and gave me rides to rehab and did all sorts of things for me. So early on, I knew I wanted to give back, and I got involved with United Spinal Association about a year after my injury. One of my physical therapists asked me if I would help start the Kansas City chapter, and got involved that way, and have been involved with United Spinal ever since then. And just between the role on Capitol Hill and the chapter leadership events, every time I get involved with the national organization as well as the local chapters, I get lit up even more and want to be more involved and provide more help if I can for what they're doing. And yeah, my life is immeasurably better because I've been involved with United Spinal Association. So I want to give that back to other people because I know not everybody has all the support that I had when I first was injured. So I've been looking for ways to do that. And some people have questioned my sanity a few times, but I thought riding a hand cycle across America is something that I enjoy. And what a better way to see the country too.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I got to meet you in July. Actually, I got to meet you face to face in July when we met up for United Spinal's roll for the Capitol. No, roll on Capitol Hill. I'll get that
Yes.
title right yet. Um, and I couldn't believe what you were doing. And I met you towards the end of your journey with your fabulous little dog. He is so cute. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but I think you're a little bit crazy because I don't know how you did that. I've tried doing a hand cycle and did like the little 5Ks and stuff like that. I don't know how I got through that. So doing it across the country, how long did it take you to do something like that? And how did you plan it out?
So I started riding on April 11th, and my last day riding was June 25th. I do have some miles that I was going to make up when I got home just because of storms and some other things that came up. But unfortunately, side note, I have a pressure wound and haven't been able to ride since I've been back. But I got 2,400 miles of the 3,000 miles that I was planning to do between April 11th and June 25th. I wasn't able to ride every day. Like I mentioned, the weather. I also had some stomach issues early on, and then I got sick in Columbus, Ohio. Uh, it just happened to be Columbus. It wasn't because of Columbus, but
I'm glad
uh,
you clarified that.
yes, just wanted to clarify. I don't want to make anybody angry in Columbus. I've been there before, but yeah, that wasn't the issue. But as far as the planning, it really started um, 2 years before I actually probably more than that now that I think about it, 2.5 years before I actually started the ride. And then I got the hand cycle February of 2020. And as we all know, March of 2020, things changed a little bit with COVID. So that threw the plans off, both training and sponsorship and all of that. But pretty early on, as I was planning, it's always been dangerous to bike or hand cycle across the country on the 2-lane highways. Several people got hit in those early stages of me planning, that were riding regular bicycles, and I'm even less visible since I sit so low. And so I decided pretty early on that I just couldn't take the risk. So I actually ended up riding miles on trails and paths in each city. So I started in San Diego and rode mileage in San Diego, and then drove to Albuquerque, or excuse me, not Albuquerque, Phoenix, and then Albuquerque, and then Oklahoma. And so I rode miles in each city and then drove to the next city just for safety reasons. But one of the things that uh, came out of that, it originally changed because of safety, but what happened is I was able to meet with some of the United Spinal chapters as I crossed the country. I was able to go to United Spinal's partner hospitals and speak with their people that were an inpatient, and let them know about fitness after a spinal cord injury. Um, and so it really allowed, at first I thought it was going to kind of detract from the trip, but it really allowed me to make more connections with people, as opposed to just sort of passing through and spending most of my time out in the middle of nowhere. So, and then it was, uh, as you know, traveling with a disability can be challenging, and making sure that the hotel is accessible. I used to do medical sales, and had stayed at Hampton Inns and Home 2 Suites and some other Hilton places in the past. So I knew that they were fairly consistent, but even that, because from town to town, there's differences, and depending on how old it is. So there was all the challenges of trying to find an accessible hotel room in every city that I was in. I did plan poorly, so or maybe it was good. I was in Indianapolis the weekend of the Indy 500, so
Oh, geez.
all the hotels were a little expensive that weekend, but I did find um, Bronability is based out of well, their old headquarters used to be in Winnemac, but they moved their actual headquarters to, they still have production in Winnemac, Indiana, but they moved their headquarters to Carmel, Indiana. And so I stayed in Carmel and was able to speak at their corporate headquarters. And I actually went up to Winnemac one of the days I was there, and rode with some of the folks that work in manufacturing in Winnemac. So it just allowed me lots of opportunities to meet with people, but it also provided challenges to um, show up to hotels and find out, well, yes, you have grab bars, but there's no shower bench. The grab bars are helpful if there's something to transfer onto, but they're not real helpful if there's not. And so the day in and day out was challenging, but at some level, the biggest challenge was just the accessibility, and making sure that I could actually use the room that I was in and get to the next place, and loading and unloading the van every time, because as you can imagine, a 3-month trip with an 8-foot long hand cycle requires quite a bit of luggage and containers and all of that. So there were some challenges, but it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact of the hotels, because I can relate from traveling recently. What they think is accessible, they're like, oh, it's a rolling shower, but there's a step. Like, it's not rolling if there's a step. Or there was no grab bars for the toilet. So you either get grab bars with nothing to transfer onto, or something to transfer onto with no grab bar. So, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other.
Yeah.
How many people did you travel with? Was it just you and the dog, or like how many people did you travel with?
So from San Diego to Pittsburgh, it was just myself and the dog. And then my nephew was able to meet me in Pittsburgh and finish out the trip with me. So the rest of the trip, it was just the two of us and the dog. And then finally in New York, my wife met me. and my three bonus daughters flew out as well, and so we were able to spend a week in New York after I finished the trip. And then they got to fly back, and then I had a van and all that stuff to get back. So it took me 3 days to drive back to Oklahoma. But yeah, it was a good way to finish up the trip.
Yeah. Did you drive back alone, just you and the dog?
Yes, yeah. Um, there just wasn't much room in the van anyway, but you know, if the girls flew back, my wife needed to be back with them, and if one, you know, nobody wanted to just, you know, drive with dad for 3 days, so they all went back.
Yeah. Well, now that we've talked about the dog, you got to tell everybody about your service dog and how cute he is. So tell us a little bit about him and how it was traveling with the dog.
Okay, yeah, he is adorable, and I am biased, but people everywhere I go tell me how adorable he is. He is a black lab golden retriever mix, all black lab. Unfortunately, he's in the other room. Otherwise, I'd have him make an appearance, but he's not in the room with me. But so he is trained by Canine Companions for Independence, which is an excellent organization. I've had him for 6.5 years, and he travels very well. From early on, I mentioned I was in medical sales. So he would travel with me when I was doing that. And pretty early on, as long as he saw that I was grabbing his kennel, his dog food, and he was going with me, he was fine. You know, if I was packing and he didn't see those things, he would start to get a little nervous. But once he saw me start putting that stuff in the car, he was fine. So the same was true here. And you know, the that first few months I was by myself, except for the week I was in Oklahoma City, and then I'm from Kansas City, so the week I was in Kansas City, I had lots of friends and family too. But the rest of the time, there was a lot of time just by myself. So having him on top of him being able to retrieve objects and all of that stuff for me, uh, it was a huge help just mentally and emotionally. That was probably the hardest part. I didn't think about was the solitude and just having that much time alone. Um, St. Louis and Indianapolis were difficult because it was right after Oklahoma City and Kansas City. So I came off the high of seeing family and friends and all of that, and then I was back to being alone. And then there was also a lot of thunder and lightning during that time. So I was riding less than I felt like I needed to because of the weather, and I was by myself. So having him definitely helped as much as possible with that mental struggle getting through that time of solitude.
Yeah. And you didn't tell everybody his name,
His name is Graham. I'm sorry, as in Graham
Graham.
Cracker. He is a dog with many names, Wiggle Butt, Graham Cracker. But you know, people if they listen to me talk to him are probably confused and can't figure out what his actual name is. But his actual
Yeah.
name is Graham.
Yeah, and I have to attest, he is beautiful. He makes you want to hug and squish him, but having service drugs myself, I know that is not possible. How did everybody else react to him being with you on the trip? Did people give you a hard time? Hotels give you a hard time? How was that traveling with him?
It is usually very good. There, I can count on less than one hand the number of times I've been given a hard time with him. Um, I mean, he does have a vest, but he's also so well behaved, people can usually tell. A lot of the hotels I was staying in are also pet friendly. There were a couple that weren't, but even those this time around didn't give me any sort of a hard time. Um, I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've had any issues, so I feel thankful for that. I have had arguments at the front desk before with people that wanted to take a pet deposit or something of that nature, and go around and round with them. I do carry the little section of the ADA that talks about service animals and what they are, um, and try to explain to people when that comes up. But on this particular trip, I didn't have any of those issues. Thank you. Thankfully.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a new issue that I came across because I have a 190-pound Great Dane and 80-pound Pit Bull as my service dogs, and I don't take them often together. Usually, I have
Mhm.
one or the other. And there's a couple of hotels now that are putting a weight limit on the dogs that you can only have 80 pounds of dog combined. So if you have two dogs that are both 40 pounds, you can have it. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work for me. So let's try this again because 190 pounds of them is coming in one shot. So it is what it is. But no, I was curious to see how, across the country with having the dog because, sometimes they don't know how to play it nice.
Right. Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't have any issues. Ironically, the last time I had any issues was in Vegas, and you would think that they would know better because they just had more people coming through. But yeah, I had a whole run around, and they were trying to make me sign a contract, and yeah, it was interesting, but
Yeah.
we got it straightened out.
Yeah, so basically carry the information with you, know your rights, and don't settle for less because your dog's important too. But how many miles did you do altogether? Like, what was the total?
Uh, the total so far is just over 2,400 miles. I was going for 3,000. So I'm still going to make up another 600 miles once I get this wound healed up. So got a little bit of time to get that straightened out.
Yeah, tell everybody a little bit about what your wound is and what it's called so people understand what's going on.
Sure. So there are several different ways that you could hear the same wound. Decubitus ulcer is the more technical term. It also is sometimes referred to as a bed sore. It's a pressure wound because the way that you get it is from pressure. Mine is on my butt. There's no nice way to put it. The left ischial tuberosity is what it is under. So your sit bone on the left side is what it's on. And basically, um, most people that aren't paralyzed, when they're sitting in a chair, if they get uncomfortable, they move around, they don't even think about it. Since we can't feel, sometimes we don't do pressure relief. I don't know if I've done it since we've been live, but just sort of lifting up and getting the blood flowing to it is what we do. I had an issue. I have a Roho cushion that typically prevents those things, but it is air in the cushion, and I had a leak and didn't realize it one day and sat on a section that wasn't aired up for a very long time and started it, and then through a series of events. Uh, a lot of time in cars where I wasn't on a cushion, I was just on a regular seat and things of that nature. It got worse and worse. And then once you have one, it's difficult to get it to heal up. I've been dealing with this one for over a year. In fact, last year around this time, it got infected and got worse. And so then I was put on bed rest. And I did, I think, either 9 or 10 weeks of bed rest where I was only up for 2 hours a day. And it got much better. I got released. And I thought I was taking care of it. And then it reopened. And since then, it's been a little bit of one step forward and two steps back. And all of this was while I was training to go on the ride. And so I had some pretty difficult conversations with my doctor, wound care doctor, and thankfully uh, he's been bringing up surgery as an option, but not pushing it, which is rare for a surgeon. This is an option. We can try different things. Here's this. And he was willing to work with me so that I could go on the ride because he knew I'd been planning it and training for it. And it actually did pretty well on the ride. It got infected while I was in New York, and so I had to get on antibiotics, and it did get a little worse than it had been. The 3-day drive back didn't help. That's one of the reasons why it took 3 days instead of less, is because I broke it up so that I was only driving about 8 hours as opposed to, trying to break it up into 2 days or just driving straight through. And since I've been back, it's been a little bit more of that one step forward, two steps back. And for whatever reason, it's just been, it got infected again since I've been back just a couple of months. And we started a wound vac 3 or 4 weeks ago to try that. And it just hasn't been helping. And like I said, it's been over a year since I've been trying to get it to heal. So I finally just last Friday had the conversation again, and it's been brought up multiple times before then, and just said, you know what, it's going to be bad because once you have the surgery for it, the surgery itself is not that bad. The problem is you stay in the hospital on complete bed rest for 4 to 6 weeks afterwards while it heals up. So no getting up to use the restroom, no getting up to bathe, no getting up to eat, you're in the bed. So basically, once you're done with surgery, until you get out of the hospital, you're in bed for 4 to 6 weeks. So it finally just got to the point where, um, although work is thankfully allowing me to work half days from home, so I can, make sales calls and do stuff online, and then come in for um, appointments with customers and all of that. I'm just half doing life. I'm getting home and then have to lay in bed instead of spending time doing things with the family. They have to come to me and, watch videos, and we make the best of it. But it's just kept me back. I'm sort of doing life and I'm half living life, and I'm just sick of it after over a year. So
Oh,
um, go in October for the surgery. All goes well, even if it's 6 weeks, I'll get out the Monday before Thanksgiving. So hopefully all goes well with that, and then I can go from there and start getting the miles in that I need to make up. But yeah, it's been a. I'm glad that I was able to get maintain well enough that I was still able to do the ride. But even that, there were a couple of days where I would have liked to have gone and checked out the city and done this and done that, but I was lying in bed trying to save my time for when I was doing events, meeting people, or riding on the hand cycle, or what driving from city to city. So there was definitely some limitations on what I was able to do because of that.
and this is the joys of being paralyzed and being disabled that people don't realize that we have to make accommodations for. And but you still do an awful lot more than people who are able-bodied, that make every excuse in the book. And look at what we push through just to show people that we're worthy and we matter and we can do anything, just do it differently. So I commend you for all of that. Now, how much money did you end up raising for United Spinal?
The last total I saw was a little over 50,000. I haven't seen the actual final total, but it was just over 50,000. I had a much bigger goal, but it was sort of the first time, and there were several different factors involved. I gave myself more of a hard time about it than some of the other people did. So I think it's an excellent start, and I'm hoping that either even if it's just me consulting and using the information that I've gained from doing it. I don't know if my wife would allow me to do another one. It's I was gone for 3 months, and it was hard to be away from her too, and just it's difficult to be away from family for that long. But maybe whether it's a single event where lots of people in lots of different cities across the country, or a group of people going across the country, I'm hoping that I can somehow contribute in a way that can raise more money and raise more awareness. Uh, as much as I would have liked to have raised the $1 million that I wanted to raise, I do still think that being out there was raising awareness both for United Spinal and for disabilities in general, and that we just want the same things. Like I just want to be able to go to a hotel room and go to the bathroom and shower like anybody else. I just need a couple of extra things added. I just want to go out to eat like anybody else when I'm traveling. I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm not asking for anything other than making it so that I can get into those places and do those things. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, one of the benefits of getting out of the van and being in a wheelchair and getting an 8 foot long hand cycle out of the back of it is it tends to garner some attention from the people around you in the parking lot. So I had some great conversations just with random people that were getting on the trail, getting ready to bike themselves, or just got back from a walk. I met a couple in San Diego that we talked for probably an hour afterwards, and we exchanged numbers and have texted a couple of times. And they follow me on Instagram now, and just a random meeting that they happened to come up and ask some questions, and it was amazing. There were so many little moments like that that I loved.
Yeah, it's so many lives that you touched. If I know you've reached more than 1 million people, if every one of those people gave $1, you would make your goal. And so I'm putting the plea out there for everybody to donate, to add on $1. If you see this story or whatever, donate $1. A couple of dollars, $10, whatever you can afford, because what he did broke barriers for a lot of people. It broke the stigmatism, and it also changed people's perspectives. It's not easy. It's not easy to do it on a regular bike. Try doing it on a hand cycle with a pressure sore, all for a good cause, just so other people can see us as viable parts of the community. That's why we do what we do. That's why we break the barriers that we break. And it's so important that people stand up and support and, join Adam, volunteer for Adam, be somebody to help do the rest of his miles, or go out and raise some money for United Spinal and save the cause. Now, why United Spinal for all of this, Adam?
There are several different reasons. One, because uh, again, I mentioned that I had all of that support, and they are already on the ground doing it. I definitely believe in not reinventing the wheel. And one of the things that I love about United Spinal is originally when I got involved, it was with the National Spinal Cord Injury Association, and they merged with United Spinal. And it used to be that NSCIA was more involved in the cities, and United Spinal was more involved in doing the advocacy. And now they're doing all of that. They have the local chapters that are doing the peer mentoring, that they're going out in the community, they're doing events, they're doing things and getting people connected with the rest of their community. And United Spinal's national organization is assisting with that, and they're providing help, and they're advocating at the national level as well as the individual level. There's stories of them getting involved when doctors are trying to convince families of pulling life support on people, and then United Spinal getting involved and then getting to the correct rehab facility. They eventually get off the vent and are able to live a life that they wouldn't have had they listened to the doctors that just didn't have the information. But they're also advocating at the national level, as we were there on Roll on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., but they are there year round, and they're making those relationships with their representatives so that when things come up with Medicare or Medicaid or with air travel, they can have an impact on those things. And they are making a difference in people's lives, both at the micro and macro level. And so I just have seen them change people's lives as well as my own. And so I want them to have what they need to be able to continue to do that work and add to it, because they are always coming up with things that they could be doing, but you only have so much bandwidth. And so um, if I can get them more money, then hopefully they can, whether it be hire somebody or start another program or whatever. I just want them to have as much as possible because they are making differences in people's lives.
You are absolutely correct. And everybody who doesn't know, who may be watching this for the first time, I'm a spinal cord injury as well. I took a spinal stroke during a minor procedure. We're the only minority that anybody can join at any time, especially a spinal cord. It's usually an accident, an incident, a procedure, or something that goes wrong. So Adam is right. You need to know your rights. You need to know about United Spinal, because if this happened to one of your loved ones and the doctor's talking to you about pulling the plug and shutting off their respirators, getting United Spinal involved could save their lives, and not only save their lives, end up like me and Adam, changing other people's lives as well as our own. So that's why we advocate so strongly for United Spinal, because they do so much to save your loved ones. We're giving you a way out to possibly be saving. I'm not saying everybody can be saved, but possibly saving your loved ones, knowing more information and living, not only just living and surviving, but living full, wonderful lives. I mean, Adam just biked, hand cycled across the country. I mean, who does that? You know what I mean? Like, normal people don't do that. And then you have Adam, because I don't think we are normal. I don't think we're not normal because we're spinal cord injuries. I think we're not normal because we're always out there to prove something, and we're little daredevils, and we do these crazy things to raise awareness for other things. So support us and give money so we don't have to do these crazy things. That you just give the money and we can, just live a normal life.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I think one of the reasons, obviously, like you mentioned, riding across the United States is a bit of an extreme, but I want to get to the point where it's not a big deal that I'm working. It's not a big deal that I'm out at the grocery store. Well-intentioned people frequently tell me, "Oh, it's so good to see you out," or "Oh, it's so good that you're working, and like I've got bills I got to pay. I have a wife and three daughters that my wife is fully capable, but like I want to be a contributing member of the family. I want to help pay our mortgage and our car payments and all of that stuff. So I would love for it to get to the point where there's so little ableism that nobody's surprised to see somebody in a wheelchair working a job. Nobody's surprised to see me at the grocery store. It's like, well, I'm hungry and I want this particular thing, so I came to the store to get it. It's like
Right.
I'm not inspirational. I just want those chips. It's like, um,
Yeah.
but I mean, one of the
It,
reasons
it,
I
yeah.
love
I mean, it's
yoga.
so true that you say that because I tell a lot of people my legs don't work, but my mouth sure does. So I can do everything everybody else does. I just can't walk and do it, but I can accidentally run you over. You know what I mean? So there's that. But go ahead, finish your sentence.
Oh, I was just also going to say is I also got into yoga 7 or 8 years ago and became a yoga instructor. And one of the things that I love about it is when I'm in yoga, I'm just another yogi. I go in, I get out of my chair, I get onto my mat, and I'm just another yogi doing the class and going through the flow with everybody. And then the other benefit is a lot of people that do yoga have a habit of comparing themselves to the people around them and like, oh, I'm not holding this pose as good as them, or I'm not doing that as well, or look how strong they are. I wish I could do that. And then I had the added benefit of knowing that all my poses are going to look different because I'm sitting down as opposed to standing up. And so I had the benefit of being just like everybody else, but then also not comparing because I know it's going to be different than everybody else. So it's kind of a lovely thing to go and do yoga and just be another yogi, but also not be able to compare myself to anybody else. But yeah, we can. There's so much stuff that we can do that I want to get the word out.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy because people will say to us all the time that, oh, like you said, it's good to see you out. The other thing, we probably work 3 times as hard as everybody else because we have something to prove and we want to work so hard to look normal like everybody else that we actually do 3 times as much. Because I know I can run or roll circles around many people that are, doing their day-to-day job just because I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I can't sleep. Like 2 hours, I'm good. I just drove to Florida and back. I took 2 1-hour power naps and did 28 hours driving because I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I just got to keep going. And a lot of people are like, I couldn't do that. And I'm like, we're not different and we're not inspirational because we happen to be doing life from a wheelchair. We may do like biking across America. That's a little bit more inspirational, only
Sure.
because I don't know a lot of people that do that, but we are like everybody else, and our whole point is we're fighting so hard to blend in, not stand out. And I love the way you say that and what you do.
And I mean, there has definitely been some overcompensation on my part. That deal, I got into triathlon a couple years after my injury, and it started out as a challenge to myself, and then I kept doing it because I loved it. And then somewhere along the line, it became like that's what everybody knew about me, and so that's what everybody asked about me, and it became this overcompensation, proving that I'm worthy because half my body doesn't work, which was more me. I mean, nobody told me that I had to, but so it's been a struggle to realize that like I don't have anything to prove to anybody, and I mean that's a lesson that I continually have to learn because it's easy to go from oh yeah I'm doing this because I enjoy it, and then that mental deal of like overcompensating and proving that I'm worthy just because half my body doesn't work the same as everybody else's. Whereas, like, my value doesn't come from my physical body. I'm a human being, not a human doing. And so, like, my value comes from my being and how I contribute, not necessarily the fact that, I mean, I want to contribute in different ways, but the hand cycling was something that I did intentionally to gain attention, to grab people's attention, but I also don't want it to be like I feel like I have to do that because of my disability. So there's uh, there's some ingrained ableism even in myself that uh, which is always interesting because I was disabled at 35 as opposed to from life, and so there's all these thoughts that I have around ab- ableism and disability that even though I'm disabled, I still have ableist thoughts, and that I have to uh,
Right.
prove something, that I have to do more, otherwise they're going to think that, and so it's an ongoing challenge for sure.
Yeah. So here's the big question. What's next for Adam Lane?
Well, first and foremost, get this pressure wound healed up. Uh, and then as soon as possible after that, I got married last August. And because I've been dealing with this pressure wound, we have not taken our honeymoon. So I need to take my amazing wife on a honeymoon somewhere where we can lie on the beach and play in the ocean. And then after that, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot pinging around in my head, and I haven't picked the one thing. Um, I have had a lot of thoughts about the 4 to 6 weeks in the hospital, and people have been telling me for quite a while that I need to write a book. So maybe I'll get started on that while I'm in the hospital, and hopefully if I do get a good start, I can ride that wave afterwards. But yeah, the two biggest things are getting the pressure wound healed up, a honeymoon with my wife, and then we'll see what the next big thing is.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I hope one of them is collaborating with me because I want to keep working with you because I think the two of us could really make a big dent. And then we add Josh Basil and all of Chris Collins and all of those amazing people to our group. That's what it's all about. All of us working together for a common cause, making a difference. We work hard to blend in. It sounds like a cliche, but it's so funny that we do all of this work and we do all of these amazing things so that way we can blend in and everybody else can live a fabulous life just amongst everybody else without any difference. It's so exciting. So give us some your final words and your final thoughts of why people should get involved. Before that, tell everybody where they can donate to United Spinal.
So there's several different places. The direct link that will come and they'll know that it's from my fundraising. If you go to adamklane.com, which is ADAMKLANE.com, there's a link there that you can do that. My Instagram is 2022 Hand Cycle Across America. On Facebook, it is Strong Wheeled Hand Cycle Across America. All of those have links that you can go and contribute and give generously, hopefully. But I would love to see $1,000,001 donations or 100,000 $10 donations than one or two big donations. I would love to see lots of people getting involved because I think that's more sustainable, and seeing people, have that fire lit that may not have a lot of money, but they want to contribute something and then they want to get involved as well. I would love to see that. But United Spinal is making difference in people's lives on a daily basis. Again, I've said it earlier, but at the micro and macro level, they're doing things that help across the nation. They are doing things to help individuals and groups. The local chapters are doing amazing work. When I go to different things at the national level and I talk to other people from other chapters and hear all the things that they're doing at those chapters, it makes me think that I'm definitely falling behind in Oklahoma with the work that we're doing. But yes, between peer mentoring, just having somebody roll into your hospital room after an injury uh, and saying, I work, I drive, I do this is way different than a doctor or an occupational therapist walking in and saying, oh, you can still live a full life. It's a completely different deal. Getting involved at the city level and going out and marking where there aren't curb cutouts and going to the city and letting them know and talking to their ADA advisor and making changes there. I mean, they're doing all sorts of amazing work. And the more people they have involved and the more money they have involved, the more amazing work that they can do. And yeah, more people that can live regular lives and pursue the same things that everybody else wants to pursue, but they are currently having to spend so much time just trying to take care of medical needs or trying to get in and out of their house that they can't do the other things.
Yeah. Well, here's my challenge to America because, if you think Adam is inspirational at all, be thankful that you have children that can ride bike. Be thankful that you can still ride a bike. Be thankful of all the people that you see out and around here. Get you and your kids out on a bike and then make a donation in Adam's name to United Spinal so that you are out biking. You are out doing it. You are fortunate that you can do what you do, and donate, go see a wheelchair user, go make a new friend, go find a new perspective, but get out on your wheels in any way, shape, or form, and then make a donation in Adam's name at United Spinal. Show him that we all love him and we care, and it was worth it for all of us because he changed all of our minds. He opened our minds, he changed our perspectives, and we're thankful for what we can do every day that we're still here on this planet every day making a difference and do it in his name. That's Adam Lane at United Spinal. Make sure you're making a donation and tell everybody where they can make those donations again, Adam.
AdamKLane.com. Instagram is 2022 Hand Cycle Across America, and Facebook is Strong Wheeled Hand Cycle Across America. And they all have links that you can go to, and or you can just go directly to United Spinal and give money to them directly. As long as they're getting the money, that's all I care about.
Yeah, and if you're giving it directly to United Spinal, because probably the easiest one to remember, just make a note that you're doing this because in Adam's name, they'll still at least know that he's making a difference out there because he is. He's making a difference every day, and he's breaking barriers for all of us, and we thank him for what he does and everything he does. Hopefully, we'll be doing something together really soon because I'm traveling all year. So we were just talking before we started the show of me coming out and doing something with Adam and doing some work together. So like I said, grab your bikes, grab your kids, grab your family members, grab a friend, get out there, bike, raise some money and donate it in Adam Lane's name to United Spinal. So that's going to be my gift to you, Adam. Hopefully there'll be a lot of people out there that will make a donation and make it all, seem possible. So when's do you know when the next roll on the Capitol is? I believe it's in June next year.
Yes, it's June of next year, but I cannot remember the dates. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I can't either. I'm drawing a blank, but that'll be coming up so you can, get some information. And here's the thing, you don't need to be a disabled person to learn from United Spinal. Learn now in case a loved one happens to end up in that predicament or needing their services. Learn everything you can now. Donate now because the research is there if it happens to be a loved one ends up needing some help. The money is already there. You already know about them and you can intervene where the doctors may not know all of the answers. You can say, "Hey, I know an organization that can get involved. Let's call them up before we make any decisions." So make sure you're doing that as well. Give us your final thoughts, Adam. Tell everybody, why they should get involved and what you would like to leave everybody with tonight.
I think the biggest thing is just that disability isn't a dirty word, and we don't need to be afraid of it. And that's just in general, we all have different things that we uh, have going on or struggle with. That some of mine just happen to be more visible because I'm a wheelchair user. But um, just go out and make the best of your life and spread some smiles around, I guess would be the best thing.
Yeah, and that's awesome because, like I said, when I met Adam on the Capitol, I've been smiling ever since. We've been talking and connecting since then. So it's just making that connection. So make a difference. But thank you so much, Adam, for taking the time to being on our show and telling everybody your story And again, hopefully everybody will be going on to United Spinal, making a donation in your name, hitting that $1 million mark. Because again, their work is so important. So thank you so much, and we will be in touch soon, my friend.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night. Thanks for having me on.
Uh, You too. And I can't wait to invite you all back next week, because if you're not sick of hearing about United Spinal now, we have actually the chapter president for United Spinal, Vincenzo, going to be with us next week. So tune in next Wednesday night, same time, same channel. And as I always say, don't just sit there, everybody. Make a difference. Have a great night. See you next week.
I'm Chaz Kalenda, and I'm running to be the next Rhode Island Attorney General. I practiced law for the last 16 years, 12 of them in the office of the Attorney General, so I have the knowledge and experience to do that job at a high level. I'm not here to fight for a political agenda. I'm not here to fight for a special interest. I'm here to fight for the rights of every Rhode Islander, no matter where you come from or no matter what your background is. I'll need your votes on September 13th for the primary election and November 8th for the general election. If you have any questions about where to vote or how to vote, please contact your local Board of Canvassers or the Secretary of State's office or website. I'm not running to be just another politician. I'm running to be a public servant who can serve as a much-needed check and balance on the state of Rhode Island to root out the corruption both inside and outside of our system. We need your support. You can visit my website at chas4ag.com to learn more about me, donate, or volunteer your time. I'm Chaz Kalenda, and I approve this message.
To take home the Golden Gloves, you've got to put in the work, and you've got to be tough as nails. Ashley Kalis was driven to achieve. Today, Kalis is still fueled by that same hope, grit, and determination. A mother of 3 school-aged boys and successful business owner who ran testing and vaccination sites across the state. Kalis is the fighter Rhode Island needs right now, because it's time for a change. Ashley Kalis for governor.